Every child, every human being has a voice. In this room, we are embracing of all cultures, all differences. It makes all of us better people. That's something that could happen in any classroom.
I pray to the God that I created, Proof, the God of dusk.
I'm having the students engage in this kind of socio-political adventure where, much like Chaucer was writing as a way to change and bring note to some of the, corruption during that time in England.
It's not something easy and it's gonna take time to fix this, but we're eventually gonna get there. We're all gonna be able to embrace one another. We're gonna be able to love one another.
Message to somebody?
All right, you guys ready? As a special education teacher, it's important to know your students and figure out different ways to teach them.
Pull through.
So why not sewing?
Super fast for 3 seconds, go.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sean Spiller, the host of Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. Every year, a New Jersey teacher is chosen to be an education ambassador for the state, to represent the teaching profession, to act as a liaison between the teachers and the Department of Education, and to serve as a resource for educators, students, and the community. This year, the honor goes to an American Sign Language teacher at Ocean City High School. It is our pleasure to introduce Amy Andersen, this year's New Jersey State Teacher of the Year.
Today, we have something very special.
We'll show you what she means in a moment. After spending any time in Amy Andersen's classroom, you get the impression the phrase very special applies to most days. It's not just that her ASL program is one of only 33 in New Jersey public school districts. Miss Andersen's approach is one of awareness and inclusion.
Every child, every human being has a voice. So I work really, really diligently to make sure that my students know in this room we are embracing of all cultures, all differences. It makes all of us better people. It gives all of us more of a global sense of the world and outside of this little circle where we live. And that's something that isn't specific to ASL or deaf culture. So that's something that could happen in any classroom. That, I think, is what I'd like to share with teachers throughout the state.
As the 2017-2018 New Jersey State Teacher of the Year, Amy Andersen is able to do just that. She's sharing her passion for understanding and inclusion with teachers everywhere. It's a passion inspired by her educator parents.
My parents are both educators, and when I was 7, my mother was working as a teacher's aide at Cape May County Schools for Special Services, and she began taking 2-night-a-week sign language class. So I went with her both nights a week to this sign language class and fell in love with it. I grew up in Cape May Courthouse, so I went to Middle Township, graduated in 1990. And then I went to Indiana University to study flute performance. And that was where I seriously started taking American Sign Language classes.
After working as a teacher of the deaf in the Boston public school system for 8 years, Amy returned to New Jersey.
The program began in 2004. By the next year, there were 138 students signed up. So it really exploded into a full-time program. As a teacher of the deaf, I am also certified or able to work with babies in the area through our state early intervention system. From 0 to 3, babies will get services. There's a real need for teachers. We don't have a lot of teachers of the deaf. This little guy is Cole, and this is his name sign. So everyone wants to try that. And he's going to be a superstar.
My name is Stephanie Renard. I am Cole's mother. He did fail his newborn hearing test in the hospital, and then we went to CHOP, and he was diagnosed with severe to profound bilateral sensory neural hearing loss. When we did find out, I was devastated, and I cried in the audiologist's office, and I said, how do I go and tell my husband that my son can't hear?
Cole was in daycare from 7:30 to 5:30. He's hearing nothing. He's profoundly deaf, so he's basically in a languageless environment all day. He was becoming more and more isolated, and it was only going to snowball from there. I could tell that there was a real problem, and it seemed common sense to have a native user of the language, a native member of the culture, working with a baby to give them language.
Enter Carrie Pogue, a member of the deaf community who for many years has worked with Amy and her students.
The fact that she agreed and was willing and happy to go through the early intervention training and process to become his paraprofessional, his deaf mentor, really says a lot about her.
Last March 28th was my first day with Cole. I'm trying to expose him to more vocabulary as much as I can so that he just is constantly acquiring language.
Almost 2 years later from when he was diagnosed, he is healthy and he is happy and he's communicating and he is signing and he's understanding, and we're happy. And we would not change a thing.
I do try to share any kind of experiences that I had with my students, and this is just an amazing experience and so inspirational to me.
Seeing how he can understand Carrie and sign with her, I think it's just the most amazing thing, and he's only 2 years old, and I know some 2-year-olds are talking and things like that, but he is communicating as well as hearing kids would. I'm looking at these students thinking, that was me 4 years ago, and there are students now at Ocean City who have so much potential as well.
Having ASL be such an expressive language, I've learned to express myself, and it's all thanks to Miss Andersen. It's nice to know that, my teacher won State Teacher of the Year for being such a great teacher, and I've blossomed from her teaching.
My students will come in at the beginning of the year and they'll say, well, people who are deaf are part of a disabled group, but there's a rich culture of arts and literature, theater, poetry, history, educational beliefs, and a thriving community that is waiting to embrace them.
Congratulations to Amy, one of 4 finalists in the running for National Teacher of the Year. When the results are announced, we'll let you know on our Facebook page, so follow us there. It's easy to picture the Teacher of the Year as a hero, traversing the land, discovering interesting characters, sharing adventures. Now why not provide that same opportunity for students by sending them on a quest?
After talking a little bit about our pilgrims from the beginning of Canterbury Tales, we're going to go back into our game to kind of explore some of the socio-political elements that we're seeing in our text right now.
The game she is referring to is Dungeons & Dragons, a fantasy role-playing game where the players create characters and guide them through various quests. In this game, students create characters based off of Chaucer's book, The Canterbury Tales.
The idea is their characters are traversing all of Britain's literary masterpieces, and so they're in the books interacting with the characters as opposed to just reading them and listening to me lecture about them.
My character is a monk, and so I pray to the god that I created, Puluf, the god of dusk.
I'm having the students engage in this kind of socio-political adventure where, much like Chaucer was writing as a way to change and bring note to some of the, corruption during that time in England.
So with the 1300s being in play, we could talk about, how we've been trying to escape the Black Plague.
We are a group of friends out on a mission to bring better peace to the world and hunt down the evil around us.
They have to interact with the townspeople and work with the townspeople to enact change, whether it be through their actions and writings.
So my character is called Earl Grey, Baron of the High Teas. He's a tiefling cleric, and he runs the black market in our town and trades in Earl Grey tea, which happens to also be his blood. Since we're in the temple, after you started praying, I think we're going to walk up to NPC number 16 over here.
Speaking to social classes and social echelons being shown through the lens of Canterbury, and as we're applying it to the game, I'm going to be essentially filling those roles with the non-playable characters that the students had created and adding my own flavor on top of what they had put forth to me.
I walk up to him and I say, hey, What are you doing here in our little section of town?
As you see, some of the students will get really into it, and they'll do accents and things like that. It seems that no one wants to hire me here. Having a lot of trouble. I went to the tailor, but since their business is so poor, they weren't hiring. I don't really do accents either when I'm trying to be some of the non-playable characters. For me, that's difficult, but for some of them, they love it. They'll put on British accents, they'll put on like these kind of crazy gravelly voices and things like that.
I could see if I could get you a job, maybe even in Fetty's Fill-Outs. I know he's big on hiring.
As they talk, I tend to jot notes and things like that. So now as I go through the story, what I'll do is work these little details in that they've been putting out.
We also have a tailor shop. It's called Mark's Clothing. We have lots of headdresses, but I guess not many people like headdresses because we have no business there.
The students' characters have to navigate and be able to successfully kind of change the landscape of the town, mirroring much like what Chaucer was trying to do in writing Canterbury Tales, and again, bring attention to maybe some of the institutional corruption that we were seeing in England at the time. I had this item stolen from me. It was a nice little coral bracelet, that I wanted to give to my girlfriend. Do you think you can kind of figure out where that is and see if you can maybe get that back for me?
The quest my group had received was to find the coral bracelet for the man to give to his girlfriend. We can not only find you your coral bracelet for your girlfriend, we can do much more.
Can anyone tell me where we did see a coral bracelet so far in our story, Canterbury Tales?
The prioress had one.
Yes, the prioress had one. Why was that an important piece of the text? I'm gonna go with Nick.
She's supposed to be like a nun, a prioress, and she's supposed to live her life with modestly. And since she has she has so much jewelry on, it doesn't fit like her character or like her profession at all.
When we see a visual of the game with the Dungeons and Dragons, and we involve the book in it, it just kind of helps us see what little details there are. For example, the coral bracelet from the other group, and there's those minute details that some of us would overlook.
My character's name is Zila. He's a Dragonborn.
For me as a teacher, seeing the benefits of role-playing, I think it really revolves around the aspect of helping students acquire different social skills, new social skills, and perhaps enabling them to be, someone different. I think that's most important to me. This also addresses my variety of learners. I think Meg had said earlier that this helps her visually. I have students who get the ability to engage artistically. We have that acting coming in. We have, of course, the projects that require straight critical reading and writing.
Just being able to enjoy pieces of literature that you see back in like the 1300s, and then being able to put that into a game, and then just having fun, just with a creative imagination, just coming up with stories and cool characters, and having fun with like friends. That's just amazing. Good job, team.
Isadora.
Cool.
Our next story is another kind of quest, to pass the message on. Stay tuned.
People mistakenly think that the most successful people are the ones that things have come easily for, and it's really the opposite is true. So they're learning at an early age that hard work leads to somewhere. And when I was in graduate school, somewhere I read, all students with very few exceptions can learn how to read on grade level, and so I just take that belief with me to every student I teach.
There was this kid who always seemed happy no matter what. Although he was a guy, he acted a bit more feminine. A group of students used to bully him, saying he was gay. Nobody knew about it though. Until on January 28th, after baseball practice, I got a phone call from my friend saying he had killed himself.
One time I was being dropped off to daycare and a lady shouted, "The milkman is here." She said this because my dad dropped me off, and being that my mom was white and my dad was black is why they call him the milkman. At the time, I didn't notice how racist that term was towards my dad, yet I did notice how he shed a tear and walked away silently.
There are some people out there that are still questioning, and there are some people out there that are dealing with
the stresses of bullying and how that affects their own identity. Because when you get bullied, you're kind of in this place where you're like, who am I? You know, they're saying stuff about me, and I'm in the process of creating myself. So when they put those ideas into my head, I start to believe it.
Stories like these, told by students, are part of a program called Pass the Message On, focusing attention on serious issues.
Discrimination, bullying, and misconceptions people have about others, like others' races, religion.
You're a black girl. Why do you speak like that? You're a black girl. How come you don't dress like one? Why can't I just be me and not have to worry about stereotypes? The message I think that we're trying to convey is that even though we have different skin colors and stuff, we're all the same underneath, and that it shouldn't matter where we come from or like how we look. We should all just be treated the same.
This is something we're always going to have to talk about. You know, this is something that's always going to have to stay in motion. So I think it's very important to just talk about these topics and not make them a taboo.
Pass the Message On is orchestrated by juniors and seniors from teacher Monica Gonsalves' history classes.
Now unfold the paper, smooth it out, and get it to its original state. This is the same principle that happens when people are bullied. Even if there's a sincere apology, the scar never goes completely away.
As a teacher, I walk through the hallways and I notice how students react with each other, and I can say the exact same words that a fellow student says, and they're perceived and taken very differently. So I knew there was power in our students. And I saw that our students had a story to say and they wanted to say it, they just didn't know how to say it or have an outlet as to where to say it. So we started putting our heads together how we're going to do this, and we said, okay, we're gonna put a program together, a workshop, and we took it to the students.
The project was developed with the help of the Union County Human Relations Commission and other partners.
One of the missions that we have is to eradicate bias and prejudice and the conditions that kind of cause them. So we looked to do a program in the schools and partnered with Dr. Paula Rodriguez-Rust, who is an incredible diversity educator, and also with Monica, who was gracious enough to open up her history classroom to us, and also the Linden Police Department.
The students who lead the program first take part in a series of workshops led by guest speakers who help them explore the causes and consequences of bias, prejudice, and hate, both in society at large and at home.
We talk about all different types of diversity. We certainly talk about racial and ethnic diversity, religious diversity. We talk about different stereotypes and prejudice. We talk about LGBT and transgender diversity, age, weight, even height, all kinds of differences between people. Things that might seem trivial to somebody else can really impact someone else's life.
She really shows the students how sometimes something that they think is meaningless, they think is just trivial that they say, really has a hidden meaning behind it. So she really does a great job of bringing our students along. Then the Linden Police Department comes in and does another workshop with our students. They talk about Union County, Linden City, and what's going on here.
Filled with new insights, students spend several weeks developing their presentation.
How do you prepare for what you're going to present?
We all individually came up with skits and what we wanted to do and what we wanted to express to these kids coming in, and we kind of put it together and made one uniform program, and we practiced so hard.
So they present to freshmen and sophomores. And then in the spring, we go into the middle schools, and then eventually we go into 6th, 7th, sometimes 5th grade students. We want to make sure we reach as many students as we possibly can.
Hey, look, it's her.
It's everybody's hoe. I'm in the drama club. We perform 2 of our bully plays, which show off what could happen if things get out of control, which oftentimes they do.
She went home yesterday afternoon and hung herself on the back porch.
Take a look at the center of your table. There are little cards there. We would like you to write one positive message to somebody and pass it out throughout your day.
I feel like if at least one person left feeling a different way, that would make me feel like, okay, I at least accomplished something.
Finding who you are, your identity, and then realizing that everybody else has one too.
We have to accept that we're all different and that's okay.
I'm gonna be free from the burdens that hold me. Who are you?
As a teacher, it's amazing for me to watch my students put this together. it feels like it's theirs.
Everyone's amazing. I truly don't understand why people aren't accepting. And I just want everybody to love one another. I think that's just it.
You're watching Classroom Close-Up. Pass the message on.
Almost. All right, you guys ready? As a special education teacher, it's important to know your students and figure out different ways to teach them. You're not pushing it through the machine, you're guiding. So why not sewing?
See how it's going straight? That's what we got to do with the needle, okay? We're gonna go
We
straight.
have a time during the day when high school students come and join us, work with the special needs students with sewing and some crocheting. But then we also have our sewing club meetings after school. And so we started out with about 8 regular ed students, and we're now almost close to 30.
All right, so what do you got to do? Hold on.
So I thought, why not try and put together a grant? So the HIP grant allowed us to purchase quite a few things for sewing, a lot of sewing supplies, 4 sewing machines. We also got a Brother embroidery machine. We were able to buy a lot of crochet supplies, knitting supplies, yarn. And we wanted to also make sure that we included community service projects with that. We made Christmas stockings for soldiers. And we also were making some lap blankets for the elderly. And one of our last community services, we're working on pillowcases for children that are in the hospital. We make them just like a regular pillowcase, all right? While you're in the hospital, it's not a fun thing. At least you have your pillowcase and you get to take the pillowcase home.
We want them to have an experience in the hospital with fun stuff instead of just plain old white pillows. My favorite thing about sewing is getting to create new things and helping others with what they need.
We have a lot of friendships starting, so this gives them an opportunity to come together, learn something, have a lot of social time, because we have a lot of social time. We enjoy each other's company and be successful and complete the project.
So hold this with your thumb. We help the special needs kids learn how to do things like sewing and stitching things up and little projects like making felt ornaments and stuff.
Pull through. Good job.
Many people they think the special needs kids, they're different and they don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, no super fast. You scare me.
They don't get the opportunity to get to know them and know how sweet they are, and it's just a great opportunity to learn about them and understand them.
Brian's never crocheted before, so we're teaching him how to. So we started, let's show him. Now we're gonna catch the yarn. Or how we did that? Yep, pull it down. We all learn how to work together and cooperate with each other and different people and have patience and things like that.
We can start with straight lines, pivoting corners, or a heart. I'm the middle school teacher for the multiply disabled, along with Mrs. Wright, who is the high school teacher. And so we teach the kids different life skills and academic skills to help them as they grow. My students become more open, they become more animated and comfortable, so it's very interesting and fun to watch them because they sometimes actually come out of their shell.
All right, good job. After every time the machine stops or a line that they make, they say, come look at this, look what I did. So they're very excited about every little part that goes into making something.
This is your dominant hand, this is your weaker hand. So wrap it around here so you have this hand to pull through. You can watch them and they can see them concentrating, they can see them doing their work, and when they're done, they're like, oh, I did this, I finished this, look at this. The unity of this is great. They're becoming happier people because they've got more friends and they're more involved in the school life.
Let this twirl, okay, bring it through. Now bring it through the 2. Well, my role is as a facilitator of how to crochet and how to stitch as well. Is you're doing an overstitch, okay? You're going over the top and bringing it through. When Carol was speaking about it, we were talking and just, she's so energetic about things she does and all the different projects she's in, and even with everything else she does, everybody just wants to be a part of it because it just makes it so much fun, and also it's so community minded and everything, and you just want to be part of it.
You're going to make sure that all of the ends or the edges of the fabric meet up together. We all have different needs, and I think, you know, something as simple or complex as a sewing machine or a crochet needle, it's just amazing. You know, everyone learns differently, but we're all accomplishing the task. I think that's what it's all about.
You got to know how to sew. Well, it's never too late to learn. There's no doubt that community service projects benefit everyone involved. Who doesn't cherish the joy of giving while practicing new skills, creating friendships, and sharing adventures? Education is a journey, a quest for knowledge that can change lives, empower individuals, and open new doors, provide hope and possibility. We thank you for joining us on this journey. To see lots more, check out our video library at classroomcloseup.org. You'll find us right here next time when we bring you more inspirational stories from our great public schools. For Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Sean Spiller. See you soon.